In episode 3 of the Transgrancanaria training series, I do a really good Monday track interval session. I also do a hard cross country, and we talk about nutrition on my training runs and in the race. Let's get into it. So it's Tuesday morning. I've decided to do my long run today because it's a very busy week. I might not have time later in the week for a long run. So some of you might know the Beachy Head Marathon down in Sussex here. So I'm running the route of the Beachy Head Marathon today. So I should cover about 40k, hopefully. Now in the comments section of last week's video, which is linked up there, somebody asked me if I would talk about nutrition. So that's what we're going to do today. And the first thing to say is, today I'm doing a 40k run. I'm not wearing a backpack. I haven't got any water. I don't plan on eating any food. See, when I started running, I just did what everyone else did. I bought a load of gels, SIS gels, or I think I started with the Lucasade gels. And that's what I thought you had to do, because I thought the way you fuel yourself when you run is you take a load of sugar, a load of glucose, a load of single molecule fast acting glucose. Now I know fine well that works for loads of people. Probably the majority of people are perfectly fine taking those gels on their runs. But for me, I got terrible stomach problems, just used to feel awful, especially when trying to run fast with gels. Just didn't work for me. But then I started to run ultras, and I discovered aid stations with sandwiches and crisps and pizza, and at the really big long ultras, pasta and soup. Now, as well as the aid station food on long ultras, if it's a looped course or I've got access to a crew, I used to take Huel, which is that powdered meal in a drink that I'm sure you've heard about. And now I use something called WFood, which I really love. It's very much like Huel, a meal in a drink. I just find it tastier. You can't really carry it in your backpack, although I have done that before. But yeah, a kind of meal in a drink, just to add some more calories to the aid station food that I'm getting on long ultras. I'm also fully aware that I do need those single molecule fast acting sugars, so I'm quite happy to drink Red Bull or Coke or take some chocolate or Mars bars. The problem came knowing what to do when running a marathon or a half marathon, something that I had to go pretty fast in and couldn't really hold sandwiches or crisps or a bottle of WFood. But it wasn't long into my ultra career that I started to see people running huge distances on no food and doing their training fasted, so not having any food before or during their training runs. I started to read about fat adaptation and how you could use your fat stores as energy. I never realised that fat can produce energy and protein can produce energy. It's not just carbohydrate that gives you energy to run. See, the body's main fuel source is actually something called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Fat, carbohydrate and protein can all be broken down into ATP. So carbohydrate turns into glucose, glucose into ATP, fat into fatty acids into ATP, protein into amino acids into ATP. Now, of course, glucose is the body's main source of energy. It will always go to glucose first, but when it runs out of glucose, it will convert to fat. The problem with fat is it takes a lot longer to metabolize. it's a lot slower to convert into energy, which is why you hit the wall in your marathon, because you've run out of glucose, you've run out of carbohydrate energy store, and your body's converted to burning fat for its fuel, which is a lot slower. Which is where fat adaptation comes in. You can teach your body to burn fat faster so it can use it more efficiently as a fuel for your marathons, half marathons, and ultra distance races. Basically races where you are running in zone 3, sub-lactate threshold. By the way, if you're finding this content useful or interesting, please do consider subscribing to the channel, and then do actually subscribe to the channel. Much appreciated. Share this video with your friends as well, anyone who might be interested in the content. Thank you very much. That's the town of Eastbourne down there in the mist. We're about 23.5k, 15 miles into my Tuesday long run with no food and no water. And that is the idea with fast adaptation, that you run most of, not necessarily all, but most of your long, slow runs fasted. Don't have anything before. I've had a cup of coffee this morning, but I've got no food with me. I know there are shops along the way if I get desperate and if I really need some food, I can buy some. I haven't got any water now, that's just because it's really cold today. I'm not going to sweat that much, so I won't need that much water. That's not to say I'm not going to be thirsty when I get back to the car. I have a nice can of fizzy drink, and I'll desperately need that when I finish this run. So that is essentially it. Do your long runs fasted, most of them. The ones that I don't do fasted, I will be testing nutrition that I will be using in the Manchester Marathon and the Transgrancanaria Ultra. In case I need any, I'll be taking my protein Rebel gels, which I do quite like, and they do seem to sit okay on my stomach, so I will take the odd one of those if I need to. Running as a fat adapted athlete will help you to not have to put so much food into your stomach. The number one reason for DNFs in ultras, probably in marathons too, is gastric issues. So relying on fat stores, to me, is a better option. By the way, I hope you like the shirt today. Massive shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Flying Burrito Shirts. There's a link in the description if you want to get a shirt like this. And there's lots of different designs, but this is the check green shirt. There's a yellow, there's a blue, there's a red. So go and get yourself a Flying Burrito shirt. The link is in the description with a discount code. Okay, with about 10k to go on my run here, let's have a look at last week's training. And as I said in the intro, we started off on Monday with a really good track session. It was an 800 meter session, 800 meter intervals, times 5. And I tried to blast it out at 3 minutes per 800. I did it, I think, as a progressive, so I did get faster for each 800 and managed to keep up 800 meters in 3 minutes and under for each rep, so that was great. So about 4k of hard effort running on Monday, and then about 29k of very easy running on Tuesday. I filmed episode 2 of this series on Tuesday morning, did about 10 miles, and then did about 12k in the evening with my running club. So Tuesday was a double day and an easy day. Wednesday we were back on with the intervals, this time on Zwift on the treadmill. It's quite a complicated one to explain, but essentially it's a sub-threshold interval session, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 minutes with a 5-minute float. So 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 1 minute. In between each of those, a 5-minute float. Yeah, and it was sub-threshold, so not all out, but it was long as well. It was about 12k in all, over an hour, or just about an hour's worth of running. Thursday was a major cross-training day. So you know I'm doing this body balance thing, which is a mixture of Tai Chi, Pilates and yoga. So I did that on Thursday morning, but I also did, following that, a specific core workout session as well. So a double day of strength training, and in the evening I was on my whoosh, not Zwift, my whoosh, a very easy 5k relaxed low heart rate run. So that was Thursday. Beautiful, isn't it? Top of the South Downs, 33.5k in, not far to go now. Friday, back on the treadmill again, so 3 days in a row on the treadmill. I was doing a medium long run, so we did 13.5 kilometers or so on Zwift as part of our spring marathon training sessions that we're doing on there. Again, if you want to come and join us, every Wednesday we do an interval session, every Friday we do a medium long run, low heart rate, and that's on Zwift. Go to zwift.run to check out the schedule. Now normally, of course, Saturday is parkrun day, but I had cross country in the afternoon. I knew I was going to be racing cross country hard, so I decided I would take this opportunity to volunteer at parkrun. I could have run parkrun, I've done it before and done a cross country race in the afternoon, but on this occasion I decided I didn't need to do the mileage. I was already going to manage to do 100k for the week, so I thought I'd be easy on myself, and I volunteered at parkrun. So I did barcode scanning at parkrun, and then I ran cross country in the afternoon. By the way, this is Alfriston, and you remember at the beginning of the run I said if I was desperate for some food or something to drink, I could get something at the shop just there. Well, there's only 4k to go. I'm fine. Honestly, I've had no food, no gels, no nothing. I didn't have any breakfast this morning. I just had a cup of coffee, and I've had no water or anything. And we've done 36.5k, so about 4 to go. So it can be done. Honestly, there's no need to drink and eat so much all the time. Of course, Sunday is long run day. Now, I was tempted to go and do 20 miles or so, but I am also conscious that I don't want to overstrain myself and do too much. So I wanted to stick to around about 100k for the week, and that meant doing around 20k long run on Sunday, which I did with some friends. We went out and did a very well-known route that we love and do very often, and I did a half marathon or so around the South Downs on Sunday. So that was my long run early on Sunday morning. So that's my training week, about 102 kilometers completed, and let's say 3 sessions were hard out of 9, so that's a third, 33% hard effort if we look at number of activities done during the week. If we look at distance run, so Monday was about 4k, Wednesday was about 10 to 12k, and Saturday was 8k, so what's that? 24k out of 102, work that out. It's about 25%, give or take, isn't it? Distance run hard over distance run easy. Now, I haven't worked out heart rate percentages yet, but I'll put them on the screen now for you so you can see for yourself how much of my time I spent in zones 4 and 5, which would be hard effort running this week. 1 kilometer to go. Just back on the nutrition thing briefly. I'm not telling you by any means to stop eating carbohydrates. I'm not telling you to become fat adapted. I'm not telling you to stop taking gels. If gels work for you, keep taking gels. If you have a nutrition regime which works for you, then keep doing it. You know, nutrition is such a divisive and controversial subject. Everyone has their own opinions, and what works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. You know, you just can't say to somebody your nutrition regime is wrong if they've just banged out 100 miles with no stomach issues, or if they've just done a sub-3 marathon evenly paced all the way through with no problems. So you have to do what works for you. I think I've proved, at least to myself anyway, that, you know, I can do this 40k run without any food. I proved it to myself as well 2 years ago when I run a sub-3 marathon with minimal carbohydrates. It can be done and it works for me. Just coming up to the car now. Very glad to get back. It'll be pretty much bang on 40k when we finish. If you'd like to keep up with the training series, click on that link just there and you'll be taken to the playlist of all the training series videos. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you guys on the start line next time. Take care everyone, bye bye.